All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. I think we've been off for a couple weeks. Probably time isn't real. So we're back now. Yay! I know you're all so very happy to see all of us. So joining me, as always, is my host and co-host Peter of Gonna Go For It fame.
Hello, good to be
How you
back.
been?
I've been good. I've been good.
Good. And also we have one of my editors, Neslig. Welcome back to the show.
Good to be back.
Yeah, the gang's all here. We've been out for the past couple weeks. I've been real busy with a lot of schoolwork. Schoolwork that I'm making for my students, not my own schoolwork.
And switching back
Until at least,
to normal time.
yeah, going back to normal time. I mean, time's not real. We made up time, Peter. So we can just change it whenever we
Well,
want.
you
That's how
can
that
say
works.
you can say that, but for me, it's a pain in the backside because if I work with people in the U.S., and I always forget that the U.S. doesn't react as fast as the rest of the world. So I have
I mean,
been known
that's true of
to
almost
miss
everything.
entire
Yeah.
shows because of it. But I'm trying to do better. As I grow older, I get better at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we here in the U.S. are pretty much always behind in one form or another. I made the joke, off screen that for most of the world, it's 2025, and then for the U.S., it's like 1965, maybe. Hard to say.
So here it's for everyone it's 2025. For the US, it's
Mm-hmm.
1935 at the moment. But
Mm-hmm. Yep. Although good news, um, we had some good political news this week. It seems like the body of voters in the U.S. are tired of Trump's shenanigans, and so the elections this week, which I believe were Tuesday, were just blue across the board. It was a blue tidal wave, a tsunami. The conservatives in most elections got beat pretty handily. So
that is good to hear.
so that was good. So my hope is that carries on to next year with our midterm elections, and we flip both houses of Congress. That'd be really nice. Then maybe we could, get some legislation through. Maybe we could curtail some of Trump's more insane activities that are basically being sanctioned by Congress right now. So that's the hope.
Mhm.
Yeah, and last week we also had some election news in our our neck of the woods. As they
Oh yeah,
say.
tell us about that.
Yeah, it's pretty astonishing how things have changed in the last few years. Like in the Netherlands, we've like a whole bunch of political parties, not just two. It's very different. Like it's all
Mm-hmm.
over the place. And before a couple of years ago, like before COVID hit, for a very long time, one party was like the one party is like a run of the mill right wing party, not right wing as in Republican. It's more similar to the Democrats, basically. That kind of
Right,
right wing
because you
party.
guys are pretty to
Yeah,
the left of us in most of your parties,
right, right.
where
But they are
we're
still, yeah,
fairly to the
yeah,
right.
yeah. But they dominated the politics. You probably have heard of the NATO guy, the recent NATO guy in charge, Mark Rutte. He was our PM for a long time, but then he left, and the whole politics changed sharply to the right after COVID election. So yeah, there was like a whole backlash against the establishment. So a whole bunch of right-wing parties gained a lot of votes. But so again, it's a very different system. What they do is one party often does not get a majority of the vote. So what they do is they need to form a coalition between multiple parties to establish a 50 plus percentage of the seats in the House, basically. So back then we had like four party coalition. Number one was the anti-immigration party, basically. Our version of Trump, and he also looked like Trump, the same blonde hair. Although he also dyes his hair as well.
That's pretty funny.
Yes, exactly. But then there was also some issues about how, again, some background. That guy, our version of Trump, his name is Geert Wilders. Our version of Trump, he wanted to establish an emergency, and like in our language, it's called noodwet. I don't know how you translate that to English. Do you know how you translate that to English?
Is that like a state of emergency?
It's
basically
kind of
like
an emergency law, or
yes.
So yeah, state of emergency. So that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of similar to
about
what we have.
immigration.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
but
basically
it's
that's
basically a way. It's basically a way to gain more power and to circumvent the parliament, basically.
yeah, yep.
That was his goal. Yes, but he could not, or at least one of his people could not substantiate that law, basically. So there was a whole bunch of kerfuffle, and then eventually he was like, all right, if I don't get what I want, I will blow up this whole coalition and everything falls apart. And that's exactly what happened in our politics.
Well,
So, and that's why we had the recent election, and now it seems to be more of a, like the number one party is now a center, slightly left, but not a lot of left. So it's like a more center than left, basically. Left and slightly.
I mean, I'm sure that's
left.
left of our
Right,
parties.
exactly.
Both of our parties.
but they still, like, even though they got the most of the votes, the difference between that center left party and the our Trump version party is not a whole lot. Like, the difference was only 14,000 votes. So they still got the same number of seats in our house. But still, since the center left party got the most number of votes, now they are the leading party in our country, and now it's up to them to form a new coalition. But it's still not looking good, because the old, like I mentioned before, the old our version of the Democratic Party, the old run of the mill right wing party. They don't want to work together with a left-wing party, which is also likely to be part of the coalition, if there is going to be a coalition. Like, there are now 4 top candidates. The center-left party that won big votes. There's another center party. It's called the CDA. And the center left party is called Day 66. There are funny names. It's like a letter and a few a number and a few letters sometimes. Yeah.
Leslie,
Okay.
what's even funnier that you call it center party, because we had a center party which was far right.
What sorry do you mean?
The Centrumpartij.
Oh, right.
It was the center party, but they were far right. Far right.
We also have a party called. We also have a party
Alternative for Deutschland. Those guys, AfD.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we also have a party who calls themselves the Forum for Democracy, but it's basically a bunch of neo-Nazis at this point.
Right, of course. I mean, that's like it's like creationists saying, like, calling them or having truth in the name, But
I think we need an equivalent of the loony party that they have in the UK, which is led by a guy who's literally a carbon copy of Boss Hogg from the Dukes of Hazzard. Not kidding. White suit, white cowboy hat.
You guys remember Sargon of Akkad ran on, like, was it UKIP, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And
he did a good job.
Trashed.
He did a great job. He ended the party.
That's true. He sure did.
Yeah.
Yep.
although now it seems that the child called Reform, I believe. It's like the basically the descendant of the UKIP is now probably going to be big in the UK, but hopefully not. But yeah.
That's unfortunate.
But I was also going to explain the coalition issue. Like you have the center left party, the center party, and then also a left wing party, a Green party. I don't really like the Green party actually, but still they are still much better than the right wing party. But then you have those three and the right wing party, the run of the mill right wing party. They are the top 4 candidates to form a coalition together. It's probably the best option at this point, even though it's going to be a very of course they disagree a lot, but that's just how our system works. You have to form a coalition to reach a majority in the house. But then the right wing, the run of the middle, or the run of the the milk toast right wing party doesn't want to work together with the left wing party. That's the main issue at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Icarus,
Peter, were you going to say something?
Icarus mentioned something. He said he heard that your center right coalition wants to build new nuclear power, but they can't find an operating company. I honestly haven't heard that yet.
I don't know.
Center right I believe that the center right coalition are they referring to the previous coalition? Maybe I'm mistaken.
No. The coming one, I think.
It's still not known what type of coalition.
No.
The one I mentioned.
The old one, I think. He said wanted, so not entirely sure. I haven't heard it yet. The
coalition also wanted more nuclear power, but of course the problem is like nuclear power is like has been how do you call it? Not supported in the Europe much, so there is like a whole bunch of like
that's right,
a shortage of know-how
recently, didn't they?
Yeah.
And Germany, it's pretty much dead, and reviving it will also be issues. But I still think it's worth the cost to rebuild it if it's possible. Yeah.
So why did they shut down that last like German plant? Because I remember seeing that in the news.
Germans are Germans. If they have a plan, they don't stop. Like it doesn't matter how much you argue, they just don't stop with their plans. That's basically it. There's also a whole bunch of politics. Like there was. I forgot this. I think it's the old prime minister of Germany, or maybe they called it by a different name. I think it's also prime minister. He's called Gerhard Scholz, if I am not mistaken, and he was the one who proposed the phase out of nuclear power in Germany, and coincidentally, he's also working for Gazprom, the fossil fuel industry of Russia. Like, coincidences.
You're right. Yeah. So many coincidences. Yeah.
Yeah. But his plan for phase out was not accepted, and the successor was Angela Merkel, the prime minister of Germany, and she also at first she said like we are still going to use nuclear power, but then Fukushima happened, and Germany went very, very, very anti-nuclear. Like even though Angela Merkel was pretty lukewarm towards nuclear, she couldn't really ignore the will of the people basically, and she went through with the plan to shut down nuclear, and they haven't stopped that plan since then. Basically, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. And you want to know a fun fact? So. A few kilometers from where I live, on the German side, there is a nuclear plant, which was bought by a guy from my old hometown and turned into a children's theme park. Okay. I am not kidding.
No, I believe you.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And also, did you know that like the place where we store our high level waste also acts as a museum for art pieces?
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
We can do
Yeah,
some
because
fabulous stuff here, Jackson.
it's a very sturdy building, and it's the safest place for those objects as well. If you want to store something for a very long time, yeah, those buildings can last a long time. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Um. So, in other news, on this channel, recently, um, the last Ancestor's Tale video we put out did not do very well. It only got like a third of the views from the previous video, which was the Cynoflagellate's Tale, and despite being like 3 times as long, basically, and so when we did the Cauliflower's Tale and it didn't get very many views, I was kind of like, okay, well, whatever. I'm gonna do, or we're gonna do, we comrades are gonna do a couple of political videos, and had some surprising results. The first one we did, which was titled "Downplaying Extremism," did extraordinarily well for our channel. That one got like 3,000 views over the course of like 3 or 4 days, something like that, which is that never happens on this channel. I don't know what we did specifically, but that video just
Unless you
rocketed.
talk about whale sex.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that or whale sex. Those are our two things that rocketed in views. Interestingly, I
And
think
now
it
we
was
are demonetized.
I think the Lancelet's Tale also did kind of well. I'm not entirely sure why. When we put that one out. But yeah, this one did surprisingly well, and that kind of gave me a little bit of hope to do a couple other political videos. So then we put out a video on the history of immigration laws in the U.S. We went through literally every like U.S. immigration law that's ever been on the books since 1790, the very first one, and that one did crap in terms of views. Not good at all. So it's a mixed bag. I'm not sure. You know what?
You want to throw something more in the mixed bag, Jackson? You know,
Okay.
we all get our recommendations from YouTube when we watch a video. I got a recommendation for a video on your channel 2 weeks ago, and I ended up watching the entire show again.
Which one was it?
Your least favorite?
My least favorite?
Arnrod debates Mr.
ID.
ID.
Mr. ID. Oh, we were laughing for like what 2 hours while we were doing that one.
So watching it back and seeing Arn in the background cleaning his room while Mr. ID was doing his opening statement, still
dropping the eggs through the tissue paper.
Yeah.
That was so funny. So the for anyone who's blissfully unaware, Mr. ID is this guy from, was it the Philippines or Indonesia? One of those.
Yeah,
and
I think the Philippines.
It may be the Philippines. He had done like an 8-hour stream on Steve McRae's channel back before he went crazy, like a few weeks before, and he came into my comments, and then we were like, okay, we'll get you set up with a chat with Aaron. So we did, and oh my god, it was one of the funniest streams I've ever been a part of.
2 days.
Peter and I were just
2 days before we were supposed to do the stream. We had already put out stuff on social media that this was going to happen. 2 days before the stream, we found out who Mr. ID really was and thought, we can't do this to Arn. And so we had a chat and we messaged Arn and we told him, if you want to back out because this guy's nuts, you can definitely back out. And Arn said, you guys put a lot of work into it. You guys promoted the show. I gave my word, so I'm going to show up. And that's where he gained my respect, because he could have said, this is a tiny channel.
Right.
I'll be talking to an idiot. I'm wasting my time. He could have easily said that.
Yeah, he could have done that, and I would have been like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
We would have agreed.
I have no problem with that.
We would have agreed with him that it was a waste of his time, but
Right,
no.
exactly. Yeah, I would have totally agreed had he said that back then, and just been like, okay, well, whatever. But no, yeah, he went through with it, and actually did it, and it actually did very very well on my channel. And then I think we had Mr. ID on for another talk and like an after show and argued with him even more or something like that. Just it was gosh, absolute waste of time. He was so boring. He actually made Kent Hovind quit a call with him,
Yes.
which is very funny. I've never seen Kent Hovind run from anyone, but he
Mid
actually
mid debate.
mid debate, he actually ran from that conversation. Very, very funny. Um, so anyway, so the first video, the downplaying extremism, surprisingly well, way better than I thought it would do. And then the second video, the one that was like 50 minutes about the history of immigration, did terribly. So I'm like, I have no idea what the secret sauce is. I don't know. I don't know if it's making like a video between like 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know if it's having Trump in the thumbnail. I don't know if it's necessarily covering recent political material or like
It might be the
a recent
it might
political
be the
like issue.
title. It might be the title, Jackson, because downplay extremism, people will click to see that.
Yeah,
It
so
it
I mean that's
sadly
possible.
we're now in a time where your title has to be clickbaity for people to click on it. So
Well, see, I feel like that title expressed accurately what we were discussing, because we were talking, we gave two
Yeah, probably
examples.
coincidentally, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, we
yeah,
gave two different examples, one a year ago, and then the recent Young Republicans debacle, in which Republicans did downplay extremism. Also, funny addendum to that video, by the way, we mentioned Jay Jones, who at the time was running for attorney general in Virginia. And we mentioned how J.D. Vance, the vice president, said we can ignore what the Young Republicans said, which was, I can't repeat it literally because we'll get demonetized. Um, and he said, well, we shouldn't care about them because Jay Jones said he would potentially shoot uh, the Republican Speaker of the House for Virginia. Guess what? Jay Jones actually got elected on Tuesday. He was elected to Attorney General, and the Republican who leaked his texts lost,
oh,
which is
I mean,
crazy.
considering the shit that Trump has said in the last 10 years, it doesn't matter much, right?
You're right. No, 100%. I mean, he said insane stuff. He literally posted, or I mean, he probably didn't, but somebody on his behalf posted a like a an AI image of like Chicago getting bombed with Agent Orange while he like sits, wears like a cowboy hat or something. It's like that's a sitting president should never do that, should never okay that. And that came from, I don't remember if it was his account or the White House account, but either way, like that's not okay for a president to do. And while I agree Jay Jones should never have texted that, right? I mean, that's hello. That's not good, right? It's not good to say. Like
Mm-hmm.
Trump has said so many much worse things in his career and he's the president, so like I mean, obviously, the rhetoric like that shouldn't exist at all on either side. But again, we're dealing with an issue of like JD Vance had to distract from the example of dozens and dozens and dozens of young Republicans all talking about the most horrible, imaginable stuff with here's one example of a guy who said a thing 3 years ago. It's like these things aren't really comparable. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of not a good comparison. If you could show maybe like okay, right now a bunch of Democrats are all saying, comparable things, then okay, that would be a fair comparison, but like come on. Um so it's just pathetic. But then and so I was proud of both videos, but the next one um is going to be neo-fascism. And for that one, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to see if putting like Trump in the thumbnail and having the title something, which is neo-fascism is, kind of what'd you say? It's not really clickbaity. It's just like a, it's an extravagant title, I guess. So, sorry, I saw the wife over there. But like it's emotional, it's evocative. There we go. It's an evocative title. So,
The
we're gonna
last
see
commenter in the chat is also a good comment by George Carlin.
Tabula Rasa 0606. To quote George Carlin, imagine the average voter and realize half the voters are stupider than that. And that's...
I believe George Carlin also said that not a verbatim quote, but he said something along the lines of, "If fascism makes a return, it comes with a smiley face. That's how it will appear." Yeah. Or something. Not exactly like you have to look it up. I believe he said it on Bill Maher's show.
Bill Maher is another one who I'm disappointed in. He was always kind of a milquetoast liberal, but he's swinging right. I mean, for one thing, he jumped on the whole anti-trans bandwagon, but also he's jumping on the anti-vax bandwagon. I didn't realize he was.
That was always the case. He was also like not very open, but he did make the classic germ theory denial argument that Louis Pasteur retracted his theory on his deathbed. Like this is a very
Good God,
stupid
idiot
argument to make.
Yeah, that's
he was always a mixed bag, to put it mildly.
He's very smarmy. I remember back in the day watching his what was it, Religulous documentary, which like he was just like, religion, and it's like, okay.
Basically, everything wrong with the so-called new atheism movement is summarized in that movie.
Correct. Yeah. He was also. I don't think he was ever associated with the intellectual dark web, but he's that same kind of person. The like, oh, I'm an intellectual on the outside of the establishment, that sort of thing.
The stereotypical know-it-all liberal, basically. Yeah.
Right. Or as I like to call them, the intellectual dork webs. So, I mean, they're all just right-wing fascists nowadays. All of them except Sam Harris. Sam Harris is not. I know he was associated with or some people associate him with it, but he's not a lunatic. He might have some, ideas about some stuff, but like, I mean, he is the most normal out of all of them, at least from the clips I've seen most recently.
But I find it very weird. Like a while ago, Bill Maher was like, I went to dinner with Trump, and he seemed to be a pretty good guy. And I was
Jesus.
like, you were sued by him for a joke you made. Like,
I sat down with Joseph Goebbels, and he actually seems like a fine guy.
But he was sued by Trump for like the orangutan joke. You remember that? Like many years ago.
I'm not surprised. Trump's very litigious.
Yeah, so. But it's weird. Like you were sued by a guy because you made a joke at his expense, and then you were like, he seems a very very good guy in person. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's pathetic. He's very pathetic. So the next one, neo-fascism, we're going to be discussing the term fascism because it gets applied to Trump and the current Republican Party a lot. And I mean, it was also applied to Trump in the first term. And it's a term that's even, I've seen it to some extent even been applied to like neoliberalism. There have been some people who've argued that neoliberalism is in and of itself kind of an early inroad to fascism. We'll talk about all that. We're going to talk about the actual meaning of the word. What does it mean? How is it used historically? How is it used now? What are the similarities and differences between historical fascism or classical fascism and modern, what you might call, there are some philosophers and historians who call it post-fascism. I prefer neo-fascism. But so yeah, we're going to discuss all that. We're going to see if maybe that one will do well. Maybe it won't. It's impossible for me to say. I don't know what the algorithm favors.
And speaking about Trump, someone asked me a question this week that I thought I should
Okay.
ask an evolutionary biologist because they might be better at an answer. So, if two Trump supporters get a divorce, can they still be cousins? I thought it was
Terrible.
brilliant, but
That's terrible. 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 All right. We're about halfway through the show. Are we ready to watch some PragerU?
Yay!
All
right.
Let's try and see.
Well,
if we
I
can do
I still like these conversations, so it doesn't matter much.
Okay. There we go.
Let's start with the good news.
Yes,
All
let's
things
do.
considered, planet Earth is doing fine. In fact, humans are doing better than at any other time in history.
That's
Over the
true,
last
I
100
guess.
years, when temperatures have warmed by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit,
At least
global
she's honest.
population has increased by 6 billion people, while
Okay.
global poverty has substantially declined. And the
Okay.
number of
Even
people
pinker,
killed from
all right.
weather disasters has decreased by 97% on a per capita basis.
So pause
We
for a
are
second.
obviously not.
Okay, so that's probably true. I'm willing to bet that that's actually true. However, the number of people who are killed, and we've talked about this a bunch of times before, the number of people who die as a result of extreme heat and storm events has been going back up. So even though we are now building houses that can withstand like storms, for instance, and more people are housed and things like that, the number of people who die per year from extreme heat events is going up year by year. So what she's doing here is kind of deceptive. She's saying, well, okay, 100 years ago, maybe 50 people a year died from tornadoes or whatever. Like, okay, but now only 10 people die from tornadoes, but last year, right, like 7 people died from heat stroke, and then this year 14 people died from heat stroke. So it's like, okay, yes, it's fewer, but the number's going up, and it's of course because of global warming.
So it's literally the meme. This is fine.
Yeah, well, you're in the burning
It's
house. Yeah, this is fine.
Burning house, yeah. And you have like a fan blowing on your face, and having a drink with a bunch of ice cubes, sipping in it to keep yourself cool, and then everything is fine.
Right.
Even though the house is on fire.
Right. Yeah. She's doing exactly what the other PragerU people do is they are Jake Dapper Inside Joke Nelson says, I've had 2 full-length non-skippable ads. I'm sorry. I don't even mess with the ad soft or system. I don't mess with it. I just click whenever it's giving me the option to do a video. I just click right through it. So I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, so anyway, so she's being real deceptive here. They like picking stats that like seem on their own like things are fine, but which when you actually put them in a greater context are actually worse. So okay, anyway.
Facing an existential crisis. Anyone who tells you that we are is not paying attention to the historical data. Instead, they are concerned about what might happen in the future, based on predictions from inadequate climate models driven by unrealistic assumptions.
So we actually talked about this idea in a video because creationists, oh, we've been doing this for too long. Climate change denialists like making the argument that that you can't trust the models. The models are all wrong. Scientists just keep getting the climate models wrong, and that's just a lie. It's always been a lie. When we did our first video on this, which was titled "Is the Earth Warming?" way back in the day, God, what was that, like 3-4 years ago, something like that?
It was I think it was in like 2020, right?
Okay, so 5 years ago. Jesus Christ. Oh, we've been doing this for too long. So when we did that video way back then, we talked about how I think it was actually a section that Nestlig added. He was like, "Let's debunk this argument that the models are always wrong." And what he pulled up was a meta analysis of models. It was a paper that compared models against what the data actually shows, right? To see if, okay, by 2020 or whatever, whenever that paper was, if the data actually showed or bore out the models, right? And the answer was it did. Like over half of the models, I think, something like that. My problem isn't with you at all, Jack. So I appreciate that, Jake Nelson. But it was more than half. I think it was like 60 or 70%, something like that, of the models that were put out by this paper, or that had been put out. When it surveyed them, it showed that these models were correct. So more than half, right? I don't remember the exact number, but it was a very, very, it's a good number, right? It's not like random chance, right? It was quite a bit greater than random chance. Maybe do end. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. It says, is there any creationist that does believe in climate change? That's a good question, and typically the answer is no. What's interesting is if you go back to the Bill Nye debate back in 2014. Ken Ham. So there's an interview with Ken Ham and Bill Nye. I think it's after the debate, and Ken Ham.
Walking around the museum, right? Or
no, that was a different one.
Quotes.
No, this was like literally like the day, like minutes after the debate. So Nye and Ham are getting interviewed, and the interviewer asks Ken Ham, "Do you accept that climate change is happening?" And Ham at the time just goes, "Yeah. I mean, we live in a fallen world, and man is destroying the earth." And that's really interesting to me because their position became very shortly after that no, climate change is not real. They have a bunch of anthropogenic climate change deniers on the Anthropogenesis staff, and so that was really interesting that was the position they took. Yeah. So and they've done other stuff like that. Like for instance, where they switched from arguing that no dinosaurs had feathers to all feathered dinosaurs are actually birds. Like that switch occurred between do it.
Oh, no, I was just laughing a bit under my breath.
Yeah, that transition transition occurred in like the late 20-teens where they swapped over, and then you had David Minton who was actually giving a speech where he talked about that shortly before he died. But I actually made a prediction in which I said PragerU both is conservative and is anti-climate change. I bet they'll have a creationist on. I made that prediction. I couldn't tell you where, but I said that, and I was right when they finally brought Stephen Meyer on. So, Wandering Traveler 6633 says a lot of Ken Ham's takes either take the flavor of climate change doesn't exist and is fake news from secularists, or the climate change that's occurring as a consequence of the fall. Yeah, basically, yeah, that's true.
I think the main reason why, did Ken Ham personally recant his statements, or just quietly did?
I don't know if he ever did. I have not read really any of his stuff on climate change, so I don't know if he specifically did. I just remember that interview and thinking like, "Huh, interesting."
But in any case, I think the whole reason why AIG goes against climate change is because the so-called environmentalism is left wing, and left wing is basically the enemy of their political agenda. That's what the whole thing.
Right. But what's interesting is you have to remember Ham is by background an ecology specialist. His background is in ecology, so I was not. So I mean, like, on the one hand, I was like, wow, a creationist, accepting climate change. That's interesting. But then I was like, well, he did do ecology. So he's probably a bit more privy to the data than most people, on climate change. So I was like, okay, well, and then, AIG's official position is climate change not real. So,
And we have
All
to
right,
take
anyway.
into consideration that integrity isn't a trait that young Earth creationists
That's
hold.
true.
I mean,
And remember, the current Speaker of the U.S. House is an AIG Young Earth Creationist writer from, drumroll, Shreveport, Louisiana, as in where I live, by the name of Mike Johnson. So, yay.
Also
Well-
doing his best that the pedophiles are not being held accountable for their acts.
Correct. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I actually know people who went to school with him, believe it or not. So,
well, we could think very bad of that, Jackson, but I think you're doing your best to try and balance him out. So there is that.
well, I appreciate it. Hey, listen, I would definitely debate him on evolution. I'd be happy to. So, all right, let's keep going.
That would draw a crowd.
I think it would. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I offer this positive diagnosis after a lifetime of study on the issue. Until recently, I was a professor of climate science and chair of the School of Earth and Atmosphere.
I have to ask, am I the only one who's getting Sabine Hossenfelder vibes listening to this one?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I didn't even know what her name was. Judith Curry. Let's take a look.
Former chair, School of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the Georgia Institute of Technology.
Her research includes interests including hurricanes, remote sensing, atmospheric modeling, polar climates, air-sea interactions, climate models, and use of unmanned aerial vehicles for atmospheric research. Okay. Views on climate change. In his 2010 profile on Curry, journalist Michael Lemonick reported that Curry began paying attention to outsider climate blogs after they attacked a 2005 paper she co-authored, which related increasing hurricane strength to global warming. Rather than dismissing the comments, she had discussions with critics. She began participating in outsider blogs, where she found the discussions very interesting, as opposed to preaching to the converted. Despite the amount of what she describes as crankology, she thought the time was well to avoid groupthink. She had previously accepted IPCC reports. In the 2010 profile, she accused the IPCC of corruption and said she no longer had confidence in the process. I bet that was because of the Bush administration shenanigans. I bet that's what that was. She agreed the Earth is warming. She agreed the Earth is warming, largely due to human-generated greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, and that the plausible worst-case scenario is potentially catastrophic. She said that the IPCC was distorting the science, and scientists were not dealing adequately with uncertainties. So, compare with her 2011 co-authored paper, Climate Science and the Uncertainty Monster. Hegirl et al. Disputed this by pointing out 4 key errors in the paper. Interesting. Okay. Curry said, it's frankly shocking to see such a good scientist take that kind of turn to sloppy thinking. I have no explanation for it. Blah, blah, blah. She began her own blog, described as part of climate change science denial. She wrote a book. She was relatively new to the denialist camp. She was included on an email list sent by Fred Singer, who was concerned over the possible fallout from the documentary film Merchants of Doubt. Okay. Great book, by the way. Okay, she's known as a contrarian scientist. Blah, blah, blah. And then American Study found that Curry was one of the climate change most frequently cited by the press as spreading public doubts about climate science. Okay. All right. Oh,
I,
when okay. And she works with Republicans, blah blah blah. Okay. She was on the Trump administration candidate list for Presidential Committee on Climate Security. Okay, so yeah, she works with Republicans. She's a climate change denier, blah blah blah. Okay. All right.
Icarus
Has she
had a
been on
great
InfoWars? Doesn't say that.
Icarus had a great comment. Who is this person?
What?
Lower third goes in. Oh, thanks, lower third. The moment you said, I don't know who this person is, the lower third just summoned up who she is. Literally, the moment you said it.
I mean, okay. Thank you.
which
Okay,
is why I read it up.
I appreciate it. Yeah, she's
But she doesn't look too happy you looked her up.
So she is okay, so she allegedly agrees that the planet is warming caused by human generated greenhouse gases, but says the rate of warming is slower than climate models have projected. And questions whether climate change mitigation is affordable. Okay. Okay. Whatever. All right. We can keep going.
Atmospheric Sciences at the Georgia Institute of Technology. But it's not all good news. The biggest problem with climate change is not climate change per se, it's how we're dealing with it. We're attempting to control the uncontrollable at great cost by urgently eliminating fossil fuels.
But we're not doing that,
failed
actually.
to properly
We're doing the opposite
place
of
the
that.
risks from climate change in context of other challenges the world is facing. Climate change has become a convenient scapegoat. As a result, we're neglecting the real causes of these problems. There are countless examples, but let me give you just one. Lake Chad in Africa is shrinking. Nigeria's president, Muhammadu Buhari, blames it on you-know-what. Climate change, he pronounced, is largely responsible for the drying up of Lake Chad. But it's not. Yes, the initial water level decline was caused by long droughts in the 1970s and 80s. But the lake has remained virtually empty over the past 2 decades, even while rainfall has recovered. During this time, rivers flowing into the lake from Cameroon, Chad, and Nigeria have been diverted by government agencies to irrigate inefficient rice farms. In short, climate change has little to do with the declining water level of Lake Chad.
Here, pause for a second, Peter.
Bad human decisions.
Now, first of all, I don't necessarily disagree that bad human government decisions can cause problems. Obviously, no one denies that. But let's just take a look. Lake Chad. Let's see. I'm curious because I don't know anything about this. All right. So, Lake Chad.
Every time I heard the name Lake Chad, I'm reminded by the fact that it used to be a very large lake and we named it Giga Chad.
Right. So my question here isn't even like it's both though. I mean the problem is both climate change and human mismanagement, right? Like what is the problem here? Like it can't be both? Is her argument just simply that like, well, I don't like
No, only one. Only one.
It must only be one.
You must pick one.
Okay, right. It can't be more than one thing. Like we can't have both human mismanagement and climate change together. I don't know. This is such a weird argument to me. Like what are we even talking about? It's both. There are Lake Chad replenishment projects, or at least there were, it seems like. Several proposals to divert water from the Ubangi River, biggest tributary of the Congo. This requires pumping 180 meters uphill, so it require a power source. Do that. Okay, I mean, it's both. Like, climate change is one of the problems. What are we arguing about here? And now it should be Lake Sigma. Very true. It's the beta lake now. Yeah.
Lake Beta.
Lake Beta. All right, let's keep going.
Are the cause. Climate
But that's not
change is
true.
just a convenient excuse, hiding poor management and governance.
Okay, but that's
Blaming
not
every
true.
major
It is
weather disaster
also
on
climate
man-made.
change. It's both. Though, like, yes, it's the government. It's the government decisions being bad, but also it's the climate change. Like, what? It's both. I don't understand this issue. What are we even talking about here? Just like there can only be one. You're only allowed to have one problem with anything at a time. So pick which problem you want to have. Like, if she looks at the fact that, like, there is increasing drought in the American West, right? And she's like, oh, well, you know, there's drought, but it must be because of I don't know, human mismanagement. Like, well, maybe it's both, right? Maybe it's because, you know, there are too many people trying to drain, like, aquifers out there in the West, and also there's the fact that we have the climate change drought. Like, what are we talking about? I'm sorry, keep going.
Also, she looks and sounds like she doesn't want to be doing this at all. She's not that convincing.
Oh no, she probably got paid. Yeah, probably.
Global warming defies common sense as well as a historical data record. For the past 50 years, the global climate has been fairly benign. In the U.S., the worst heat waves, droughts, and hurricane landfalls occurred in the 1930s, much worse than anything we've experienced so far in the 21st century. Population growth, where and how people live, and how governments manage resources are much more likely to create conditions for a disaster than the climate itself.
Well, pause for a second.
We've always had
I mean, all those problems are going to be impacted and exacerbated by climate change, right? So, like, if we have more people, that means you're going to have to deal with managing more resources. And if those resources, you know, for instance, can't be grown in certain areas of the world because of climate change, that's going to cause mass starvation, right? That's what that means. Like, why are we acting like like two things can't interact? I don't understand. It's so stupid.
I like it how he says the climate has been benign.
The climate has been, like...
I've never heard of that.
You know, Peter, relative to the Hadean Eon, when the Earth was molten, the climate's been fairly benign.
Yeah.
You know, relative to the Paleocene, Eocene thermal transition, you know, the climate's fine, actually. It's not nearly as hot as it was then. Right? Eocene thermal maximum. I'm sorry, thermal maximum. Paleocene, Eocene thermal maximum. I don't know what I said. Like, the climate's fine compared to that, right? Because it was way hotter back then. I don't. These are such stupid arguments. These are so dumb. There's no substance to this.
No.
hurricanes, droughts, and floods, and we always will.
Okay.
Maybe you think I'm being too cavalier about the dangers we face.
Yeah, you
Isn't
are.
it true that 97% of scientists agree that humans are causing dangerous climate change? Well, here's what all climate scientists actually agree on. The average global surface temperature has increased over the last 150 years. Humans are adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere by burning
Total
fossil
coincidence,
fuels,
I'm sure.
and carbon dioxide emissions have a warming effect on the planet. However, climate scientists disagree about the most consequential issues: how much warming is associated with our emissions, whether this warming is larger than natural climate variability, and how
No,
much
it
the climate will
absolutely
change in
is.
the future. There's
What
a
do you
lot that
mean?
we still don't understand about how the climate works.
I mean, that's
Ocean
true.
circulation patterns and variations in clouds have a large impact, But climate models do a poor job of predicting these.
Again, that's just simply
Variations
not
in the
true.
sun
He's
and
just
volcanic
lying.
eruptions also have a substantial impact,
All right,
but these
pause.
are simply unpredictable.
Okay, so again, she's just lying here. Variations in the sun, we can measure that. We can compare it to the temperature of the Earth. When she says that like variations in the sun or volcanic eruptions are they're unpredictable, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Also,
Nothing
there's
whatsoever.
there's a funny story actually. I believe one of the big names in climate science is James Hansen, if I'm mistaken, right? That's I think that was his name, James or something similar.
Okay.
Let's see here. So just check, or somebody else in the live chat can check the name. I believe it's James Hansen. He's like one of he's often called the father of climate science. But in any case, he made a model on climate change, and he also made a version of that model simulating the effect of an volcanic eruption as well. And he predicted a dip in the temperature data.
Right,
And
the year without a summer, that kind of stuff.
yeah, so like that, yeah, and it just happened that at one point there was I think in the 90s there was a volcanic eruption, and that dip in the temperature was exactly matches what James Hansen predicted.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's
yeah, this is like the whole it could be volcanic eruptions. These put out aerosolized particles that block sunlight from reaching the ground, and so it gets cooler actually if you have like these individual eruptions. When you look,
we can predict individual volcanic eruptions, but like on average they are very regular, like right. So the like across decades time there is not
right,
a
right. I mean,
huge
it's like
variation, and even when they occur, we can predict their effects.
right. It's like radioactive, like a sample, right? You can't predict
Yeah.
which particular atom is going to decay, but you know that given a certain amount of time, half of the sample will decay, right? Stuff like that. Yeah, and also like it just when you look at examples in geologic history of volcanoes actually contributing to heating, it is because they erupt continuously for millions of years. Like the Permian Triassic mass extinction was caused by volcanoes erupting continuously for an entire igneous magmatic province erupted for like 2 million years, right? And that's what put enough carbon dioxide and methane into the atmosphere to allow for like substantial heating of the planet. We have nothing like that going on right now. Nothing. So this is just nonsense. Yeah.
Regarding the unpredictable variations in the sun, I have something for the people who are watching now or watching it soon after we're finished. We had a recent solar flare, so at least for the people in the Netherlands, there's a chance of northern lights tomorrow evening. So keep an eye out for that.
Gotcha. We'll play just a little bit more and then we'll cut it.
The fact is, we can't predict the future climate. It's simply not possible.
And the fact
everybody
that it's
should
been done,
acknowledge
don't worry
that,
about it.
And every scientist does. While humans do influence the climate, we can't control the climate. To think that we can is the height of hubris, the Greek word for overconfidence.
Shouldn't she tell people in the United States who what was it, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who says that?
Oh, the weather machines. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, apparently we can. By the way,
some people can. Yeah,
It's a great pause. I want to enjoy my great pause before I start it up again.
That is a great.
What we can do is adapt to whatever Mother Nature throws our way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Human
pause.
beings have a long history.
That is such bull crap. It's fine. Just adapt. Just move your cities. What is it? What's the Ben Shapiro line? If climate change happens in your area, just sell your house and move. Hold on. Does anyone hear H-Bomber guy like hammering through their wall? There's just one problem. Sell your homes to who, Ben? Aquaman? Like, The idea, okay, I genuinely want people who make this argument to actually think about the last time we had any sort of human migration event, like people fleeing Syria, for instance. What happened? Did they all just make it out easily and nicely and we had no problem? We just accommodated them into the nearby countries? No, that's bull crap. This is just it's such an infuriating response. The idea that we're going to move hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people just off the coast. Like, oh yeah, we're just gonna move. It's fine. There won't be any problems with that at all. It's such bull crap. Just these people disgust me. This argument disgusts me. Like there's no argument whatsoever for it. It's not borne out by any data. There's no historical analysis. It's literally just, oh, I don't know, maybe they'll just move. They'll just sell their house and move. So stupid. God, people who say it's a piece of garbage. Okay. All right. Let's pull it out of here, Peter. We're a little bit past the hour mark. I'm sorry. That just
if you don't mind, I would like to address an old comment
go ahead.
on.
Go ahead.
All right. Like there was like an old. I don't think I can find it anymore. I believe Tabula Rasa was like the one who commented saying that they believe that nuclear is not an option.
Okay.
I disagree. Like I want to bring up one good example. Like, are you familiar with Finland's most recent nuclear power plant? It's now the largest operating nuclear power plant in Europe at the moment. It's called. It has a long name I cannot pronounce. It's abbreviated by OL3, and it was a very delayed. Like it's like a 12-year long delay. There was like a lot of problems with it, but eventually it was finished. Do you know what happened to the electricity prices? The spot prices of electricity in Finland.
What happened?
It dropped by 75%.
Sheesh.
After the plant was completed, yeah. So it was like the original project was planned for like 3 billion euros, but eventually due to the delays and the problems, it reached 11 billion, like way overpriced for what it was originally planned, which is a big problem. As I mentioned before, the nuclear industry is really in shambles in Europe and also in the US because it has not received much support, basically. In contrast, there is like in ironically speaking, in Russia, where if you're working at the nuclear company called Rosatom, it's considered to be like one of the most prestigious jobs you can have in Russia, but not in Europe, of course. Like it's basically it's almost a dead discipline in Europe at this point, at least in the practical realm, and that is a big mistake in my opinion. So what Russia is doing, they support nuclear in their own country, but then they make other countries addicted to their natural gas, like Germany.
Sure. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Peter, could you pull us out of here, please?
Thank you for watching this video. To keep PragerU debunked, please consider donating through a super chat or a super thanks. Thank you.
I always love watching that. I'm the Infinite Jackson. There we go. I always love watching that video. All right. So this was fun, guy. What's up?
Oh, sorry. I was typing and I did not mute myself.
No, I thought Peter was saying something, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, I like it that my bird butted in while I was recording that. Every single time I played, you hear peep in the background. Can't shut up.
Well, this was fun. All right, gang. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will try to do it next. Let's see, I say I will try to be here next Thursday. I'm not making any promises because next Friday is my birthday. So I don't know if I'll end up being busy with something, but we will see. So we'll see if we have a show next week.
See you next week or
not. I will definitely try to have the neo-fascism video, or we will try to have the neo-fascism video out by then. So So we'll see. Yep. Until next time, thank you everybody in the live chat for watching. Thank you, Peter and Nestling, for being here. And we will see all of you next time. So bye, everybody.
Bye.